So I just made this beautiful crochet cowl top, and I just thought I'd do a little how-to video on how I made it. It's really, really easy. Okay, so this is the yarn that I'm using to make the cowl top. It is a Bamboo Breeze from Hobbycraft, and it's 50% cotton, 50% bamboo, and I believe, yeah, it's called Sage. It's got this beautiful sheen to it, and I just think the drape of the bamboo and the cotton mixed together will be really nice for that cowl shape. So for the measurements, I did my chain, so it went from, let me just stand up a bit, here to sort of here to there. That's what I did, and then I just chained that length, which for me was 80 chains in with a 5.5 hook and this yarn. Now this yarn calls for a 4mm, so to get the sort of wholly draped look you want to go like 1.5 to 2 sizes bigger than what your yarn calls for to get that looser drapey finish. So yeah, so whatever you're working with, just go up a hook size than what you would normally wear. So I've got my 5.5mm hook and I've chained 80 with this yarn, and that's been enough to fit around just past my hips where I showed you in the video. And then I'm going to chain 2 as my starting double crochet, and then I'm going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook, and this is going to essentially be my second double crochet, as you can see. So that first chain 2 is the first double, and we've got the second, and then we are just going to work our way along, and in each of these chains you're going to do a double crochet. I have got another video on my channel, a shorter video, just showing you the difference between the stitches. So essentially you can use any stitch you want, but with this top I wanted it to be quite drapey and holey, so I've used quite a thin yarn, a bigger hook, and you can see that there's the gaps in between the stitches. So if you would like yours to be more dense, you could potentially use the same yarn but a smaller hook, and you could also use like half double crochet if you wanted to, but I think for the cowl look of this top it needs to be really airy and floaty and light. So I'm just going to carry on double crocheting along these 80 chains. I just some of them are a little bit tight to get into because the hook is big and the yarn is small, but yeah, so just keep working along to the end. Okay, so now I'm at the end of my very first row, and I'm going to do a double crochet in the very last chain, and then I will show you what I do on each of the new rows to make it look a bit more seamless. So normally here I would chain 2, but I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to turn my work, I'm going to single crochet into that first stitch. So I've got single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1. And I find that this looks so much better than doing a chain 2 and then following with a double crochet, because it can leave quite a gap. So that's the way I do it, but you can also just do chain 2 if that's what you feel more comfortable remembering how to do. And then you're just going to do the same thing along, and essentially we're just going to make a really big rectangle. So you're just going to go back and forth until you get the top to be as long as you would like it to be. So here it is at a few more rows in, just so you get an idea of what it's going to look like. And yeah, you're just going to keep double crocheting all the way along, and then adding another row on and keeping going. Okay, so we're just going to do a little trial test. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. I'm just going to move my hair out of the way. And this is how it's draping at the moment. So yeah, it's sitting exactly how I want it to. So eventually these are going to have little ties on around my neck. And then, yeah. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep building on this, doing more rows. You can see that nice gappy, holy meshy look, which should hopefully look nice against my skin tone, and the green look nice with the contrast of the reddish hair. So yeah, I'll keep you posted about how it's turning out. So here it is with even more rows. So I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And I had 2 50-gram balls, and this is what I've got left. So holding that up towards me, it looked like the right length for me because I didn't want it to be too long. If you want yours to be longer, you can definitely do more rows than that, but this is it at 24 rows. So the next step for me was figuring out what I wanted the neck strap to look like. So I applied the yarn to one corner and I reduced my hook size down to a 3.5mm hook, and I attached it, like I said, to the top corner, and I just started doing a chain. I believe I chained about 30, and then I just slip stitched it onto the opposite corner, so this would create the neck. I did a little try on here, and that felt like a good number for me, and so I'm going to slip stitch that on properly now. And then once that was slip stitched on, I actually then chained one and I followed back along it in single crochets to thicken it up a little bit and just to make it feel a bit more secure. But obviously you try this on and see where it sits on you. You might need more chains, you might need less. See what looks right, what works for you. So here's me just showing you how that looks with the crochet across, and yeah, hopefully that makes sense. It is really, really easy. You will have these 2 bits of yarn hanging off, which we will sew in at the end, so don't worry about that. So here is how it looks with the single crochet back across the chains. So that is the neck strap complete for me. So now I'm going to move on to the back straps. So I'm going to attach the yarn to my hook with a slip knot, and then I'm going to, so I've got the 2 top corners here, and I'm going to move to the one of the bottom corners, and I'm just going to attach my yarn onto the very last stitch in the corner, and then I'm going to chain, I think I chained 80. I'm pretty sure I chained 80 for this one, and I didn't go back down with single crochets. I wanted it to be quite a dainty, slim tie, so I just did 80 and chained that all the way down. So now we're moving on to the second corner. We're going to do exactly the same thing again. So attach your yarn with a slip stitch to the very last remaining free corner, and then we're going to chain 80 again, and your straps should be nice and even, and you're going to just check and make sure that it fits around you and ties securely and feels good, looks good. Just remember, all these numbers of chains and stitches might vary for you because will likely be different sizes and shapes. So you're going to finish crocheting your 80 chains, you're going to cut off your yarn, and then you are going to stitch in those last few remaining stitches, and you should have something that looks like this. I absolutely love the drape of this top. I love how it fits. I love the colour, so I'd really recommend using this yarn. And I really hope you found this little video helpful and easy to follow. Please let me know if you make it. I'd love to see.